Ako po, Isko, Doc Willie. Period. Yung mga organisasyon na kanya-kanya, o baka meron naman Doc Willie ganito o Isko ganito, as a candidate, hindi naman natin mapipigilan yung kayo, mga choices ninyo. Kasi may iba naman silang preferred candidate. Which is sila naman ang nag-host, sila naman ang gumastos. Para bang nilagay ko si Sam sa isang area, tapos ipapakulang pala sa krus o mapapayala, kawawa naman.
You just heard presidential aspirant Manila Mayor Isko Moreno, who says he is standing by his running mate, Dr. Willie Ong. This comes after Moreno and his camp decided to drop Ong from their Mindanao sorties. He explains he was just respecting the organizers of his campaign who are pushing for his tandem with Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte, now known as Team Isa.
While he is sticking with Ong, Moreno says he can't do anything to stop those who prefer to mix and match candidates from different parties. As for Ong, he says it's all good and that his vice presidential bid continues. Good evening, I'm Gretchen Ho.
And I'm Edwin Gao. You're watching The Big Story. We continue to monitor Isko Moreno's campaign trail in Mindanao, where he visits General Santos City, the bailiwick of presidential candidate Manny Pacquiao.
For more details, we have Romel Lopez reporting live from Gensan. Romel, what's the latest?
Yes, Ed and Gretchen, Team Isko landed in General Santos City for the third day of their campaign trail here in Mindanao. But the topic of discussion here is not how Moreno will woo voters in the area, but his running mate, Doc Willie Ong's absence.
The absence of Ong in Moreno's Mindanao sorties has been making the rounds online. Some even accuse the mayor of seemingly abandoning his running mate. This comes after several supporters of Moreno in Mindanao, including the Mangundadato clan, push for his tandem with Uniteam VP Bet, Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte. But why exactly is Ong not present in these rallies?
Kasi ayaw namin siyang mapaya. You don't want to put your partner, if you're true to your partner, o sa baka maalanganin ka lang. O, kasi may iba naman silang preferred candidate, which is sila naman ang nag-host, sila naman ang gumastos.
The host he's referring to is former Maguindanao Representative Dong Mangundadato, who later on asked for Ong's understanding.
Kaibigan ko si Doc Willie Ong, kaibigan ko. At sana naintindihan niya to. Ang gusto kong presidente si Isko at gusto kong presidente si Sara Duterte.
Moreno also insists that he remains loyal to his running mate, but he admits that the mixing and matching of candidates is out of his control.
Ako po, Isko, Doc Willie. Period. Yung mga organisasyon na kanya-kanya, o baka meron naman Doc Willie ganito o Isko ganito, as a candidate, hindi naman natin mapipigilan yung kayo, mga choices ninyo. Kasi hindi naman tayo two-party system, katulad ng Estados Unidos, pag binoto presidente, panalo na yung vice president. That is the sad truth of our electoral process.
As for Ong, he said that he has no hard feelings if others are pushing for a different running mate for Isko. He says he's already grateful that he was even picked to run as VP.
Focus lang ako sa kailangan kong gawin, di ba? Salamat kay Mayor Isko, pinili niya ako, nakatakbo tayo bilang Vice President. So tuloy-tuloy tayo hanggang May 9, walang atrasan to.
Ed and Gretchen, after Moreno comes Mindanao stint, they are set to return to Luzon for the upcoming presidential debate on Sunday. Ed?
Well, Mel, kasi yung Gensan, yan ang talagang stronghold ni Manny Pacquiao. Diyan siya pinanganak, diyan siya lumaki, diyan siya nagkapangalan. Kamusta ang reception kay Isko Moreno na taga Maynila, diyan sa Gensan?
Yes, Bok, yung reception naman kay Mayor Isko Moreno here in the area was warm. Talagang may mga tao lumabas pa rin during the motorcade. but it's very obvious na hindi niya teritoryo itong area, unlike doon sa naging reception sa kanya over the weekend and kahapon doon sa Bailiwick naman ng mga mangundadato doon sa Maguindanao. So yung area dito, yung the usual na mga motorcade na nakikita natin, but then kanina nag-courtesy call si Mayor Isko doon sa mayor naman ng Jensen, si Mayor Rivera, and then maayos din naman yung reception na natanggap natin. Pero hindi natin i-expect talaga yung super rockstar talaga na welcome na nakikita natin doon sa ibang lugar na pinupuntahan ni Mayor Isko. Basically, because siguro this is a stronghold of another presidential bet, presidential aspirant na si Senator Manny Pacquiao.
Mel, pero yung nga yung malaking issue diyan yung hindi pagdalo ni Willie Ong, yung katandem ni Isko Moreno. Now we do understand ang sinasabi ni Moreno dahil out of respect to the mga datos who are lording it over Maguindanao, but Maguindanao is only a small part of central Mindanao. For example, in the case of Jensen and the other areas around central Mindanao, meron din bang push for Moreno-Duterte tandem o bakit wala pa rin si Willie Ong?
Yes, precisely dito sa area kasi kasama ito doon sa Senate na itinerary noon yang host ng Mindanao visit nitong sina Mayor Isko, which are the Magundadato nga, ito Magundadato clan. So kasama ito dun sa kanilang set of visits dun sa mga lugar dito sa Central Mindanao, kabilang nga itong South Cotabato at itong Jensen. So we can just assume na hindi na rin talaga siya sinama since yun nga lakad na ito is sponsored nga nung mga mangudadatos na ang pinupush nga yung isa o Isko-Sara tandem, particularly in this area of Mindanao po.
Okay, well, last question, Bok, kasi ang daming kontrobersya tungkol dyan, nakadikit yan. For example, yung supposed team-up between Moreno and Sara Duterte and the possibility that Isko Moreno is trying to do Duterte. Meron ka bang nakikita dyan ng mga personalities na kadikit ni Pangulong Duterte at ng kanyang partido na sumasali ngayon dyan sa partido ni Isko Moreno? For example, yung MRRD Executive Committee, yung kay Jan Casillones na nagudyok kay Digong na tumakbo noong 2016.
Yes, tama ka, Bok. Kasi precisely yan nga din ang isasagot ko sa inyo. Si dating DAR Chief Jan Casillones na isa nga doon sa tinagurehong talagang mga DDS o Duterte diehard supporters, doon sa kasama rin dito sa pag-iikot nitong si Mayor Moreno. And the thing is, kanina natanong din namin kung si Secretary Jan former Secretary Jan Casillones ay magiging guest candidate na nung Team Action. Ang sagot dito ni Mayor Isko, wala pa namang formal na pag-uusap hinggil sa bagay na yan. But then, na-meet na raw nitong si Secretary Casillones yung mga kumbagay criteria na hinahanap nila doon sa maaaring maging guest candidate nila. Recall that itong Team Action o Action Demokratiko, wala talaga itong guest candidate. Nananatiling yung kanilang senatorial slate ay tatlo lamang, Samira Gutok, Jopit Sison, and of course si Carl Balita. So doon nga sa pagluta ngayon dito sa Mindanao, nitong si Jan Casillones nakasama na ng Team Isko, we can expect na baka banda-banda dyan magpatuloy na yung pagsama niya dito sa Team Isko. And tinanong din natin si dating Secretary Casillones, ang sinabi nga niya, si Isko ang kanyang presidente at kung ano man yung magiging sagot ng Team Action Demokratiko sa pagtanggap nga sa kanya sa guest candidate, itatanggapin niya and willing siyang sumama sa grupo, Bok.
Okay, maraming salamat. News 5 correspondent Romel Lopez reporting live from General Santos City. Like Mayor Isko, other candidates are cool to the idea of mixing and matching with possible tandems in the upcoming polls. Gretchen gives us a rundown. Gretch.
That's right, Ed. As expected, it is safe to say that the candidates are sticking with their current tandem right now. When asked about fielding her name with other candidates, Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte said no comment as she continued her campaigning in Batangas. Her party, Lakas CMD, has already said they will continue to endorse Ferdinand Marcos Jr. as their president. Vice President Leni Robredo, meanwhile, who is in Mindanao, said that the ongoing mixing and matching of candidates is unavoidable. She says this is due to the lack of an organized party system in the country. Despite this, Robredo maintains that Senator Kiko Pangilinan is her vice president. Senator Manny Pacquiao, on the other hand, made his way to Pateros. When asked about the issue, Pacquiao said that it's up to the public on who they would want as president and vice president. The senator likewise backed his choice of picking Deputy Speaker Lito Atienza as his running mate. The same goes for Senator Ping Lacson, saying that the Lacson-Soto tandem will not break up. According to Lacson, both of them assured each other that they would remain a tandem until the elections is over. Meanwhile, more big stories to catch later tonight, including the plight of Filipino workers in Hong Kong, some of whom were reportedly sacked from their jobs after getting infected with COVID. It's 8 straight weeks of rising oil prices, and motorists are scrambling to find gas stations with lower prices. And seeing double, it's Tuesday, February 22, 2022, and people online are abuzz for Palindrome Day. More of these big stories after the break.
Good evening. You're still watching The Big Story. I'm Ed Lingao.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. The number of COVID-positive overseas Filipino workers in Hong Kong continue to rise, with at least 60 OFWs now infected.
To some, getting infected is a double whammy as some employers reportedly fired them after they got the virus. Jen Kalimon with the story.
This spot at the central Hong Kong district used to be teeming with overseas workers, mostly domestic helpers. But with the city-state battling a new surge in infections, the once lively area is now like a ghost town. Hong Kong just reported more than 7,000 new COVID infections, including a number of Filipino workers. According to the Philippine consulate in Hong Kong, at least 60 Filipinos have contracted the virus. Some are in isolation facilities, while some are quarantined in their employers' homes. 9 are still under hospital care.
All Filipinos needing emergency assistance due to the recent surge of COVID-19 cases in Hong Kong have been accounted for and assisted. It must be noted that the severity and magnitude of the fifth wave in Hong Kong took everyone by surprise.
While they are reportedly safe, 23 of those who got infected were sacked by their employers. According to Hong Kong NGOs, they are currently staying in shelters.
Yung mga 23 natin na kababayan, nasa iba't ibang mga shelters sila ngayon. Once na nagbigay ng alert yung mga NGO, maraming nag-respond. So maraming nag-donate na mga local Hong Kongers, yung donate sila ng mga tent, at saka willing sila mag-donate ng mga tent and mga ibang mga sleeping bags.
But the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration or OWA is disputing this number. They say only 3 were let go by their employers and that the Philippine government has resolved their cases.
Pinag-utos ni Sec Bello na kausapin lahat ng employers na nasasangkot dito at 2 employer ang nakumbinsi na kunin muli yung kanilang OFW na empleyado.
To help them, the Philippine consulate in Hong Kong has provided $200 for qualified OFWs and additional $200 for those who may have concerns regarding quarantine facility. The government will also conduct an investigation on the alleged termination.
Ang ating primary mission is to get them treated first and then they receive medical attention. At pag gumaling po sila, we will revisit the situation and we will ask them kung ano po talaga nangyari at kung mapatunayan nga po natin na they were asked to leave because of their sickness, ito po ay nasasabi po natin lagi na illegal dismissal po ito under the Employment Ordinance of Hong Kong.
Despite the surge in Hong Kong, the government has no plans yet to bar travel to and from Hong Kong. Reporting for News 5, Jen Kalimon, We Are One News.
How's the situation of infected overseas workers in Hong Kong? And more importantly, are they receiving assistance from the Philippine government? We have with us tonight Josefina Baron Walters, an overseas worker based in Hong Kong. Ma'am Josefina, thank you for joining us. Welcome to The Big Story po.
Magandang gabi po sa inyo lahat dyan.
Magandang gabi po sa inyo. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, una-una po, kamusta po kayo? Kayo po ba'y nahawaan o may kilala kayong nahawaan na OFW ng COVID-19? O may nabalitaan kayong nahawaan na OFW ng COVID-19?
So far po, sa akin naman pong mga kaibigan dito na malalapit sa akin, wala naman po, sir. Yung mga nababasa ko lang sa news, na meron po tayong 5 na Pilipina na sila sa COVID-19. Na yung 3, actually sila po ay papauwi na ng Pilipinas. Sila po ay nag-finish contract. Ngayon, po sila ng rapid test sa airport, nag-positive po sila. So yung 3 po, pinakausap po ng ating konsulado dahil pinalabas po sila ng employer. Pero kinakausap po sila ng konsulado natin na huwag po silang i-dispatcha kasi bawal po yan dito sa law ng Hong Kong. Mananagot po ang mga employer pag ang helper na may sakit tapos i-terminate ng amo.
Okay. So para po malinaw, so sa batas sa Hong Kong hindi pwedeng i-terminate ang isang employee dahil lang nagkasakit siya ng COVID-19. Yan po yung nasa batas na...
Yes po. Yes po.
Okay. So ano mangyayari ngayon dun sa 3? Tutuloy ba sila dyan o mag-iintay ba sila dyan hanggang gumaling o paano po?
At ngayon po kinuha po sila ng ating na po sila sa facility po ngayon, naka-isolate po sila ngayon. At yung iba na nasa boarding house.
Okay.
At ang ating pong konsulado dito sa Hong Kong, gumagawa po ng paraan sa lahat ng makakaya nilang tulong para sa ating mga kababayan At yun nga, kinakausap nila yung employer na huwag pong i-terminate ang mga workers.
Okay, sana nga po hindi sila ma-terminate kasi mahirap nga naman bumalik dyan. Maraming salamat po sa inyo at ingat po kayo parati, Ma'am Josepina Baron Walters, isang overseas worker na nakabase po sa Hong Kong. Thank you po. While Hong Kong is in the middle of a fresh wave of infections, over here, COVID-19 continues its downward trend. The country logged its lowest daily tally of the year so far, with just 1,427 cases recorded today. Metro Manila mayors are set to meet today to discuss a possible downgrade to Alert Level 1. Gretchen with the update.
That's right, Ed. All 17 mayors in Metro Manila will meet tonight to vote on the capital region's alert level status for March. Metro Manila Council's chairperson, Parañaque Mayor Edwin Olivares, says NCR has met the conditions needed to downgrade to Alert Level 1 status. But the Interior Department is reluctant to ease restrictions while the campaign season is ongoing. The local campaign period is set to begin on March 25, and Interior Undersecretary Jonathan Malaya says it will be much more difficult for the DILG, the PNP, and COMELEC to enforce minimum public health standards. Time for another quick break. When we return, fuel prices continue to soar for the 8th consecutive week, now causing a spike in the price of consumer goods. U.S. Women's Open champion Yuka Saso comes home to the Philippines and talks about her decision to play golf for Japan. And a happy Tuesday to you too, as today marks a rare palindrome day. These big stories after the break.
Good evening. You're still watching The Big Story. I'm Ed Lingao.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. Fuel prices soared once more for the 8th consecutive week, sending motorists on the lookout for cheaper oil.
The resulting spike in transportation costs has also started to jack up the cost of consumer goods. Shala Francisco with the story.
For the 8th straight week, fuel prices have gone up again. Some motorists don't mind going the extra mile just to gas up in stations with cheaper fuel.
Sa iba po mahal. Bali parang 5 piso, 7 pesos ang gasolina sa iba. Lumalayo minsan. Dahil sa minsan naghahanap ako ng murang gasolina.
Effective Tuesday, gasoline prices are up by 80 centavos per liter, while diesel and kerosene by 65 and 45 centavos respectively. In total, fuel prices have increased by close to 9 to almost 11 pesos. Gas in fact can cost as high as 80 pesos per liter. But with the country's deregulated oil industry, the Energy Department admits it's hard to control price spikes.
Yung competition talaga yung magdidikta ng presyo. Iba-iba yung condition sa bawat lugar. Pwedeng mura lang din yung renta nila, mura yung pagkakakuha nila dahil malapit lang yung source nila, o mura talaga yung operating cost nila.
The DOE says the world market will stabilize by May or June, but consumer groups fear rates will still shoot up.
It's always a possibility. Malapit na masyado yung 100 from where the prices are right now.
The spike in transport costs is also resulting in price increases for some goods. Vegetables for one saw a 20 peso hike, while meat prices are now 5 to 10 pesos higher than usual. Consumer groups now want to suspend oil excise tax to ease the burden.
Saan mo kuha ng pera yung taxi driver, yung jeepney driver, kulang na may alerts level 1 pa tayo, alerts level 2. Hindi ka naman maka 100%.
The Energy Department says it's coordinating with agencies and oil companies for fuel discount.
Baka pwede nga nilang dagdagan pa yung mga gas station na nagpo-provide ng fuel discount, di ba? O kaya bukod sa dagdagan pa yung discount.
The Department of Agriculture says a 500 million peso budget for fuel discount has been allocated for farmers and fishermen. The LTFRB, meanwhile, is waiting for the 2.45 billion peso fuel subsidy for 377,000 PUV drivers. Shaila Francisco, WR1 News.
For the big story in sports, reigning U.S. Women's Open champion Yuka Saso is back in the Philippines after almost 2 years. And in her homecoming, Saso opens up about her decision to choose her Japanese citizenship and the possibility of playing for the Philippines once again. The details in my report. After almost 2 years, Phil-Japanese golf phenom Yuka Saso made her way back to the Philippines. The reigning U.S. Women's Open champion is visiting her family before heading back to action in Thailand and Singapore next month. Yuka even swung by the Wakwak golf course for a practice run.
My mom hasn't been back in Philippines for many years now, so nag-usapan lang po namin yun. Very simple, nothing much.
Anong pinaka-na-miss mo sa Pilipinas? Ay, mga Filipino food, ano yung kinain mo?
Sinigang.
Talaga?
Yes. Favorite ko po kasi sinigang.
2021 was a historic year for Yuka when she became the first Filipino golfer to win a major via the US Open. She represented the Philippines during the Tokyo Olympics and in several LPGA tournaments. Despite all the success, she says there's still a lot to improve on.
A short game, probably be the biggest improvement that I need, and also putting. So overall, I need to improve. I want to improve everything. My biggest goal is to be world #1. I believe I'm still young and I have a long way to go in my career. So, like I said, take it day by day, minute by minute, take it shot by shot. Just not to hurry anything.
Just 2 years into her professional career, Yuka Saso displays the composure of a veteran, not just in hitting pressure shots, but even in life-changing decisions such as changing her citizenship.
A little windier, and as Kay mentioned.
It was back in November when Yuka announced that she'll be choosing her Japanese citizenship. For Yuka, it was a career decision.
I'm very proud as dual citizen. Kahit anong passport naman din ko, I'll be forever Japanese, I'll be forever Filipino, and I'm very proud of that. The main thing is because of the passport. If I have, obviously, I think everyone knows, Japanese passport is more powerful. For me, kasi it's not that big deal, because I don't think everyone will understand because they won't be able to experience my situation.
But will we ever see Saso play again for the Philippines?
We're just doing the process now, so hindi ko pa po alam yung kung ano pang pwede mangyari or ano yung mga pwede kong gawin. So, we'll see, and if there's a chance, why not?
Gretchen Ho, WR1 News. 2 pala ngayon, ano? Oo. Palindrome Day. Ibig sabihin, pagka binasa mo yung numbers, pag binaliktad mo, pareho pa rin. Oo. In short, swerte today. Swerte, meron tayong, may regalo ako sa'yo, ginto.
Talaga, pwedeng lagyan ng ano yan? Wala pa tubig sasabihin ko eh. Ano ba yung isip?
Pwedeng dalhin sa wag po. This, we have here in the studio, this is a Naismith Trophy for the FIBA World Cup winner. So, partner, this is made out of gold, gaya na sabi ko, 7.5 kilograms. At swerte
All
tayo.
Gold? 7 kilos of gold?
Yes.
Baka Talyano yan. Hindi na.
Baka mahanap natin, may seal sa online no? But this one will be available, of course, with the FIBA Asian qualifiers happening Feb 24 to 28. Manood po kayo kung gusto nyo masilayan itong trophy na ito.
So this is the trophy for the victor?
Yes. Of the 2023 World Cup, pinapasa-pasa yan from one winner to another. So, unfortunately, hindi sa kanila yan, nila uuwiin. Ayan.
Hindi uwi.
Hindi eh. Oo. Pero pwede nyo dalhin sa show ninyo. Tsaka may security tayo dito and our FIBA, friend from FIBA. So watch out for that. Once again, the FIBA World Cup Asian qualifiers. And happy 2-2-2-2-2.
Oh, abang na kayo sa Shopee tsaka sa...
That wraps up today's big story. Catch it toward 8 p.m. on Signal Channels 8 and 250.
Please like our Facebook page, One News. For more in-depth analysis, visit our webpage, onenews.ph. Mask on.
Wash hands.
And stay safe, Philippines. I'm Ed Lingao.
And I'm Gretchen Hall. We are One News. Have a good evening.